Can you sing along the 5 Pusha T records right now? His records.
Yes.
His records?
Yeah.
Name
I love Pusha. Nostalgia.
Oh, you was a Pusha T fan.
If you know, you know.
I didn't know he had fans like that. Can you name 5 Pusha T records? No, his records. Pusha T. I love your soul, my dog. You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that. But top 50. You haven't done that much for me in my life. Like I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life. I never thought like you dig. Like where I'm from, niggas want to be like you if you was really that.
Jim Jones been talking slick again, and this time he might have picked the wrong legend to mess with. Out of nowhere, Jim hopped on an interview acting like he's rewriting hip-hop history, claiming Nas ain't that influential anymore, saying new rappers don't study him, and that his name don't ring like it used to. The internet went wild instantly. People online were like, who keeps handing Jim a mic? Because if there's one rule everybody knows, you don't disrespect Nasir Jones. This is the man who laid the foundation for lyricism, storytelling, and raw truth in rap. Nas isn't just a rapper. He's the reference point for greatness. And once those clips started spreading, it didn't take long for someone real to step in. None other than Pusha T, the Virginia legend himself. He didn't rant, didn't threaten, didn't even raise his voice. Pusha handled it with that icy calm that makes his words cut even deeper. Behind that cool tone is a man who earned everything off skill, respect, and pure consistency. The same values Nas built the whole culture on. When Jim started running his mouth, Pusha checked him, smooth but sharp. He reminded everybody that legacy can't be erased by loud talk or podcast clout. Insiders even say Pusha dropped a cold indirect saying, certain rappers forgot what this culture's built on. Respect the pen that fed you. This ain't the first time Jim Jones said something wild just to grab attention. Lately, he's been on a streak of outrageous hot takes, dissing legends left and right, from poking at greats like PCIA Mesa to now throwing shade at Nas. It's clear he's chasing controversy instead of consistency. But when you start playing with real lyricists, the ones who built hip-hop from the ground up, you're bound to get checked sooner or later. And not with feelings, but with straight-up facts. And that's exactly what Pusha T delivered. The moment that subtle response dropped online, it spread like wildfire. Fans flooded every corner of social media saying, that's how you check somebody with class. Because instead of diving into messy beef, Pusha used words that hit harder than any diss track. He reminded the world that Nas' legacy ain't something you argue about. It's engraved in hip-hop's DNA. From Illmatic to King's Disease, Nas been serving timeless masterpieces for 3 decades straight.
I mean, I would say as Diplomats as a whole, probably have one of the biggest influences in the hip-hop history. You dig? I'm not saying the biggest, but one of the biggest influences. You know what I mean? Like one of the biggest influences. Period. From across so many levels. You know what I mean? Fashion being one of the major, and music being the other. But
he inspired everyone from J. Cole to Kendrick Lamar, artists who studied his flow, his message, and his mind. Meanwhile, Jim's biggest flex is Dipset nostalgia and a few reality TV moments. That's not legacy. That's leftovers. But Pusha didn't just defend Nas. He dropped knowledge too. He called out the sad truth about the game today, saying too many rappers are trying to rise by tearing others down instead of building their own lane. And that's the difference between legends and loud talkers. Legends create, loud talkers beg for relevance. While younger fans flooded Jim's comments with clown emojis and endless memes, even other rappers quietly jumped in, liking Pusha's posts like a silent amen.
Do you like the new song?
No, but you know.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
What's so great about it?
It's so good.
It's good?
It's so, oh man.
It's good?
So yeah, there's something going on that you ain't tell us about, bro.
It's good in what? A nostalgic value of it?
You don't think Ace Trumpets is hard?
I don't believe them.
Oh.
But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to downplay nobody's craft or their music. I want to uplift everybody and things like that. But I don't listen to their music. I never.
It was clear Pusha said what the whole culture had been thinking for years. Deep down, everyone already knew the truth. Jim Jones don't have the catalog, the bars, or the respect to even speak on Nas's name. When Pusha T stepped in, it was checkmate before Jim even realized the game had started. Let's be honest, Jim's been running a risky hustle with his mouth for a long time. Every few months, he pops up saying something wild just to make the timeline talk. But now those little stunts are starting to backfire hard. It's like he's hooked on controversy because he knows the buzz won't come from his music alone anymore. And that's the real reason he keeps name-dropping legends. It keeps him trending. But this time, he messed up big time. When you step into Nas' lane, you're not just talking about another rapper, you're talking about a monument in hip-hop history. Nas isn't just famous, he's foundational. He built his empire on truth, wordplay, and staying real no matter how the game changed. From the Queensbridge projects to global stages, Nas turned his pain and poetry into pure art. His debut Illmatic isn't just an album, it's a textbook, a masterclass that every serious artist studies line by line. Every verse is a reflection of struggle, survival, and genius. Yeah, Jim had some hits, nobody's denying that, but comparing him to Nas, that's like comparing street hustle to sacred art. They're not even in the same building. That's why Pusha T's response hit way deeper than people expected. He's one of the last few rappers who still moves with that old school honor code, calm, composed, and deadly with his words. Every line he drops carries weight, and when he speaks, the whole culture listens. So when Pusha stepped in, it wasn't about stirring up another headline beef, it was about restoring order. Insiders say before he even made a public move, Pusha actually reached out to Nas camp privately just to make sure it was handled with respect. That's how real ones operate, quietly, strategically, and always with purpose. And when he did finally speak, he didn't even need to name drop Jim. Pusha just said, "Ain't no room for clowns and conversations about kings." That single line lit the internet up like fireworks. Fans instantly caught the message. Jim was the clown, and Nas, the undisputed king. Memes exploded across the timeline. People were posting side-by-sides of Jim with court jesters, captioned, "When you try to diss the throne, but end up polishing the crown." The roast was brutal. And the worst part for Jim, he stood alone. Not one major rapper stepped up to defend him. Not one. Nobody wanted smoke with Pusha, and definitely not with Nas's fan army. Even Dipset's own fan base was split in half. Some said, "We love Jim, but he gotta chill," while others admitted he's starting to sound desperate out here. That silence from Nas, that was pure power. When you're a true legend, you don't waste breath arguing with folks who ain't even in your league. You let your work do the talking. And that's exactly what Nas did. Within days, his stream shot right back up. Fans were spinning ether, the world is yours, and Nas is like all over again just to remind the world who the real wordsmith is. Meanwhile, Pusha T stood tall like a quiet bodyguard for hip-hop culture. Calm, composed, and deadly effective. No yelling, no corny name calling, just pure class and confidence. That's the kind of presence hip-hop's been missing. Men who defend the craft without turning it into a circus. Fans were calling it a masterclass in composure, saying Pusha didn't just check Jim, he handled him completely. But when the firestorm hit, Jim tried to play cleanup. He hopped on Instagram Live claiming people misunderstood what he meant. He swore he wasn't dissing Nas, just speaking facts about the new generation, not knowing him like that. But come on, nobody was buying that excuse. You can't call a legend irrelevant 1 minute and then cry miscommunication the next. The internet saw right through that. By then, it was too late. The streets had already judged him. Jim crossed the line, you don't cross. The memes got brutal. People were posting side-by-sides of Nas holding Grammys, while Jim was starring in Love and Hip Hop. One caption said, "One man built hip hop, the other built storylines." Even major outlets started catching the story, calling it more than a feud. They called it a lesson in legacy, and that's the truth. When real greatness speaks, you don't talk over it, you listen. The public made it crystal clear, Nas is untouchable. Anybody bold enough to come for him better be ready to get humbled fast. And Pusha T, he made sure that message got delivered loud and clear. In a later interview, when he was asked about all the chaos, he dropped one simple line that shook the culture: "We gotta protect our architects. Too many new voices forget who laid the bricks." That quote spread like wildfire. Rappers, producers, and even hip-hop historians reposted it non-stop. Because at its core, this whole thing wasn't about ego or clout. It was about respect. The respect that keeps hip-hop alive, that honors the ones who built it from scratch. Jim might have thought he was starting a fun debate, but all he really did was expose how far he's drifted from the foundation he once represented. There was a time when Dipset stood for Harlem pride. Real talk, real hustle, real energy. But lately, Jim's been chasing moments instead of making memories. He's been louder but not sharper, flashier but not deeper. And the more he talks, the clearer it becomes. That loudness ain't strength, it's insecurity dressed up as confidence. Meanwhile, Pusha's stock went way up. Fans started calling him the culture's watchdog, the one who steps in whenever real hip-hop gets disrespected. And what's wild is, he didn't even have to yell to do it. While Jim was out here ranting on lives and interviews, Pusha dropped one timeless line and walked away. And that silence, it hit harder than any diss record. It shut the whole conversation down like a mic drop in real time. Even Nas' peers came out showing love. Legends like Rakim, Jadakiss, and Common all dropped subtle posts about protecting the greats. That wave of unity was powerful, a clear message that real artists still care about preserving the roots of the game. And the irony, the same crowd Jim claimed don't study Nas were the exact ones streaming his music nonstop that week. The numbers didn't lie. Nas' streams exploded again, proving his legacy isn't fading, it's thriving. So yeah, Jim Jones might have thought he could rewrite Nas' story, but all he really did was remind the world how solid that legacy still stands. Because when a true legend like Nas gets disrespected, the whole culture rises up like a defense squad. And Pusha T, he was just the first to swing. By the time the smoke cleared, the moment had turned from drama into a cultural wake-up call. No matter how loud the internet gets, respect still matters. Jim tried to paint Nas as outdated, but ended up looking desperate instead. And the worst part, he underestimated how loyal real hip-hop fans are when it comes to their legends. Nas doesn't just represent music, he represents evolution, storytelling, and truth. That's something time can't erase, no matter how many interviews or hot takes try to twist it. Pusha's involvement elevated the whole situation. He took it from petty to powerful, showing the world that you can defend someone's name without turning it into a circus. In that quiet, controlled way, he reminded everybody that there are still gatekeepers out here. People who won't let disrespect slide unchecked. And make no mistake, Pusha's one of them. In another interview, he dropped yet another gem. I don't chase relevance, I chase respect. 'Cause relevance fades, but respect echoes. That quote blew up instantly. Fans called it the bar of the year, and it perfectly summed up everything Jim Jones failed to understand. Drake, Meek, Pusha, and now Nas. It's like Jim Jones is hoping to stay trending by poking at giants. But that kind of energy never lasts. You can't build a legacy off chaos. It burns out faster than it blows up. And that's exactly why Pusha T and Nas stand where they do, because they never needed noise to prove their legends. Even industry insiders started talking about how deep the bond runs between Nas and Pusha. These two have respected each other's craft for years. Both built their names on penmanship, purpose, and precision. So when Pusha stepped up this time, it wasn't for clout, it was for loyalty. And that loyalty reminded fans of what hip-hop used to stand for: brotherhood, not beef. At the end of the day, the whole situation left Jim exactly where he didn't want to be. Embarrassed and exposed, his comments aged like milk, while Nas and Pusha came out shining like pillars of professionalism and power. The people spoke loud and clear. The culture had chosen its side. And just like that, Jim's little hot take faded away as fast as it started. Now the internet's running with a brand new saying, "Don't try Nas unless you're ready to get pushed." That line's been floating everywhere. And honestly, it fits perfectly, because Jim just learned the hard way that real lyricists don't argue. They educate. Pusha didn't diss him. He disciplined him with style and substance. So yeah, Jim tried to question Nas's legacy, but Pusha T shut it down quick. No yelling, no theatrics, no threats, just wisdom, class, and culture. And if there's one message to take from this, it's simple. The crown doesn't move for clout, it only bows to respect. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share with the crew, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.